Hello everyone, so welcome to this webinar of Axelor. So we'll wait 2 or 3 more minutes in order to make sure that everyone is able to join the webinar. Hello. Yes, so 1 more minute and then we'll start. Okay, so I think we'll start if everybody is ready. So first thing, welcome to this webinar. Some of you already know me, but for those who don't know, my name is Hortense. I'm the International Business Manager of Axelor. So today with us, we have Pierre Coder, which is the BPM specialist of Axelor. And today he will be showing you so different things. The first, how to use XML within Axelor framework. And also, if you have any question about the BPM, in the meantime, after his first presentation, please feel free to ask him because he's our specialist. Also, in that webinar, you will have the opportunity to ask questions to Pierre regarding the BPM and the XML format within Axelor framework. So I will start with a quick presentation of Axelor. So everyone is able to see my screen? Okay. Okay, perfect. So we are a French editor of ERP CRM BPM low-code based in Paris. We have different products. So our ERP, which manage HR, accounting, production, and lots more application. We also have our CRM, which can be used separately because Axelor is a modular solution. So we have some of our customers which are just using the CRM, for example. Then we have the BPM and the platform low-code. It's important to know that our ERP has been built on the low-code platform, which help us to create different modules if needed. BPM stands for Business Process Management, and it will help you to create any business management processes within the application. So once again, Pierre is there and will be able to give you more information about that if you need. You will see in the ERP we have different workflow, and the BPM give you the ability to modify everything. Our solution is fully open source, which means that the version of ERP is available on GitHub, and you can have access to the source code, and you can download it, modify it, etc. Axelor is offering services around the solution only on enterprise license. If you are on the open source license, we are not offering any services. What we mean by services is training, support, also patches, migration script, etc. So if you are on open source license, you cannot have that. If you are on enterprise license, we are there for you. Also, we have a partner program. If you are interested to be partner, do not hesitate to come back to me, and I can tell you more about it after the webinar. So Axelor has been created in 2005. Before that, we was integrating other solutions. And in 2014, we launched the first version of Axelor. We did 8 years of research and development, and we have more than 1,000 of users on enterprise license and different partners. So I can see that some people cannot hear me. Ali, are you the only one who are not able to hear me? Okay, so I will continue then if everyone else is hearing me. Okay. And plus we have different partners around the globe. So that is helping us to extend the solution. To explain to you why we are different about other ERP, first thing is that Axelor is a low-code platform that can be easily adapted to different business needs and company. We have a general ERP who can cover different activity and sector. Thanks to the low-code platform, you can easily modify it and adding some field, etc. We also have a modern and design ergonomy, which increase the user experience, and a modular and technical architecture based on open source standard, which help you to modify them. I'm just checking the chat. Okay. Yes. So Pierre, so we have some of our customer references. So we are working in several different activities of sector, such we are working for public sector, so we are working for the Minister of Justice. We are working for the Prime Minister of France. We are also working for electricity provider. We are working for retails. We are working for car industry. We are working for education services. So we managed to have all these different field of activity due to the solution that can adapt easily according to the need, as I said earlier. And as you can see, some of our partners, if you want to have more partner references, I can share all the partners that we have around the world. It's also available on our website if you want to have a look. So, Pierre, if you are ready,
yes,
I think
we yes, can. I am. Okay. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Fine. So I will, like Hortense said, I am the BPM specialist. So if you have any question regarding to the BPM, don't hesitate to ask me directly on the chat. I will take time to answer. More generally, the idea of this presentation is for us to exchange. So at any time, if you have question on what I'm saying, ask, and I will take time to answer if I know the answer. So let's switch to my screen, because more than a presentation, I will show you directly how our framework works and how you can use it to quickly develop a customized solution based on your needs. Can you see my screen or my IDE? Fine. So as you may know, we have two solutions. The first one is the ERP. Hortense already told about it. And the second one is the framework. Today I will talk only about the framework and the BPM if asked. And for this presentation, I have this very simple project using only two models, the demo contact model and the demo sale model. But to begin with, I will talk about the project itself and what are the important information you have to get when you want to start a project using our framework. The first one is we are using Gradle technology. For the 5.4 version of the application, it's the Gradle version size 5.6.4, and as maybe some of you know, we have released last Friday the latest version of our framework, the 6.0 version, which contain a major evolution for our technology. For example, in the previous version of the application, we used Java 8, and now for the 6.0 version of the framework, we have moved to the Java 11 version. So if you want to have some information regarding all the evolution of the framework, you can always have a look on the changelog available on GitHub. So let's talk about the project. There are maybe 3 files you have to pay attention when you start a project. The first one is a build.gradle file. In the build.gradle file, you will have many information, like I said, the information about the framework version used for your project. You have information of the title of your project, Axelor Training there. And you have also information, and it's really important to pay attention to that, of the dependencies you want to use in this Gradle project. You have two options for the dependencies. You can either manually implement all your projects. For example, there I have implemented the demo contact and the demo sale in my build.gradle. So let's test platform backwards compatible with I'm not sure about it, because like you already know, the Java 8 version is not maintained anymore. So it's why we have moved to the Java 11. Let's have a look on this information. If maybe. Okay. It's yes 6.0. I will ask about the compatibility to Java 8, but I'm not sure about it. I'm really not sure about it. Okay, as you can see, there is a major gap also on the Gradle. We have moved to a 7.4 version of Gradle, and maybe I can give you at the end of the presentation just to make sure. Yes, the 6.2 version of the ERP is not using the latest version of the framework for now. We have information on script to move from the 5.4 version of the framework to the 6.0 version of the framework. And if you ask, maybe we can share this information to our partners. For Tomcat, it's we previously used the 8.5 version, and for the 6.0 version of our framework, we use the Tomcat 9.0 version. We have also adapted our framework to more recent version of Tomcat. So let's go back to the build.gradle. Yes, and if you want to, you can also name your archive. In some cases, it can be useful if you want to use the CI of GitLab, for example, to have your archive already named as you want. So that was the build.gradle file. And now let's open the settings.gradle. In this settings.gradle, you will have to indicate all the modules you want to include in your project. You have two options. You can declare all your required models, or just declare what are the models you don't want. For example, if you want to use the ERP, you can just have the list of all the models you want from the ERP on your custom models. In this case, it's really simple, but it's the same logic if you want to deploy a custom project based on the ERP. And the last but not least, the application.properties file. I have also some information regarding this file for the latest version. For the application.properties, you have all the information, all the parameters needed to run your application. For example, the database URL with the user and the password. As you can see, I have a huge security password for my database. And you can also have the information of the date format, the timeouts, eventually the size of your maximum upload size if you want to use the documentation model. You can also, and it's important to get this information, it's there where you can enable the parts scheduler inside the application. Maybe I can show you. Okay. Inside the application, you can use job management and schedule tasks. If you want to schedule a task, you have to enable the job scheduler before deploying your application. You can't just say, okay, no, I want to fetch email every 5 minutes. It's active. It won't work because you don't have enable. You didn't have enable your core scheduler in the application.properties file. So if you want to, you have to cut your server, change this information, and restart your server. What I would, if I am using the Axelor Cloud, it's the same way to set up a process. I don't get this question. What I would if I'm using the Axelor Cloud?
I think by this question is meaning if he's using our server. We have
yes, it's the same way. Where it's we use the same logic for our server. So for the application.properties in the latest version of our, we have renamed it. So pay attention because we have some feedback about this, the name of this file. So we choose to change it to resources to Axelor config.properties. But the content is the same as previously. You have also the information of the database URL. Is it clear for everyone for these three main files to describe the project you have to to use for your needs. Okay. So now let's switch to a model. If I open my demo contact model, you always have you always need to have the build that Gradle inside your model, because it's there you have the information that it's a Gradle model and not just some folder inside your project. It's a really simple file where you can just where you apply the plugin com.axelor.app model, and you also get the name of your the title of your model. The title is somewhat important because when you define your entity, you will always have the model name. This model name comes from the build.gradle of your model. And surprise, I have opened my entity. So let's take some time to explore what is an entity and how an entity works inside of framework. You always, as I said, you always have your model with the name and the package. It's mandatory. Application is necessary site specific. So usually by Git after upstream update, we always have to restart it by setting the stuff. No, you. Sorry, site specific. So should it be controlled by Git? No. When we want to deploy a new version after a new build, you have two options. You can either modify the application.properties according to your specific configuration, or in some case, you can use an external application.properties file to run your configuration, run your application. It's not advised because it can have some security issue, but you can use it. Otherwise, you can always. What we do is we generate a new WAR file. We deploy it in the web apps folder of our Tomcat, and after exploding this WAR, we change the application.properties. If you want to have a look on the WAR generated. At the root of your project, you will have the build folder, resources, main, not that. Okay, maybe there. Build resources, main. Oh, I have forgot. Class. No. Libs. Yes, there. As soon as you build your project, you will have the WAR generated in the build/libs folder, and you can always edit your application.properties. The application.properties file will be inside the webinf classes folder inside your WAR, and you can directly edit it when your WAR is compressed. And change the information of your application. It's the way I use my application.properties. It's not really important, but it can be useful. I just have to copy my WAR and launch my server, and then everything works fine. I don't know if I have answered the question, but it's how I do it. So let's go back to our entity. Inside your entity, you always need to specify the name, but you can also use other attributes like shellable, implement, extend. I don't know if we will have time to define all these attributes, but the name is really important because as the code generator embed in our framework, use the name of the entity and the name of the model to create the database. If you run a build instruction, a Gradle build instruction, like you can see there, it's a clean build Gradle instruction. You will generate all the corresponding Java classes you have defined in your domains. Look at the Java classes, address.java. I have all the information of my table with the name, contact underscore address, and also all my fields are defined there. My string zip, my string street, my string street, and it's because I have defined my field inside my entity. A field is characterized by a name and a data type. And you can also add some attributes where each one of these attributes will have an impact in the corresponding Java classes. For example, the title for my zip string is a widget, and the required attribute add the not null tag inside my address.java. That's the first part. The second part, if it's on the database itself. Oh, okay. If we have a look on the contact underscore address table, you have the automatic generated columns like ID, arcade, version, but you also have the information you have defined inside your entity, like the city, the street, and the required set a not null condition on the column. So if you want to use our framework to develop your application, and you have in the first version of your application, you have defined an entity, and you want to change this entity, pay attention to the attributes you use for your fields. If you want to add a new field using the required true attribute, you have to create the corresponding SQL script before redeploying your application. For example, if you want to insert a new Boolean field in your entity, you must update your table by creating the new column and setting value to already existing records. If you don't do that, then you will have an error. You can have an error when you want to deploy the latest version of your application. It's really specific to this not null condition. If you want to create a new field without this condition, you can just deploy the new version, and the table will be updated by the framework itself. No, Gradle don't remove columns. So in this case, if you delete a field definition of your entity, you have to update to delete your column by the SQL script. So let's try to add a new field in our address. I don't know, maybe door number, for example. Digger. Okay. So I have this field, and I will build my application. The idea is to show you what is the impact on my database. For now, I don't have my door number columns, and I will run my server. Okay, let's start. It's a really light application, so it will be quick. Okay. Does anyone have questions regarding the entity? Okay. Ready to serve? No, let's go back to the database. Okay. Okay. Restart. Okay. Okay. Okay, there is a little issue with my server, but it's not important. Let's move to the next part. Maybe some of you have noticed the CData tag. In some case, you can use a Java expression directly inside your entity. If you want, for example, to compute the address name or maybe the full name of your contact, I have used the same logic inside my contact domain, where I use a condition to check if last name, first name are null. If not, then I return my full name, computing my title, first name, and last name. For the title, I have used the gate code to because my title is defined by a code and name. So that's all for the entity. You can also add some extra code, like some static code if you want to directly access to the information of, for example, a selection. You can define the different values of your selection inside your entity. When you are developing in Java, it's easier to get the information. But I will not talk about that for now because it's not related to our framework, but more to the Java use inside our framework. And now we will move to the views. For the views, we don't have the corresponding Java classes. The framework will generate the corresponding HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for the front. But we don't have like the domains and address that Java for the view. Inside a view, you can define all the view corresponding to your entity. The basis is a grid view and a form view. The grid view is quite simple to use because you can't do much things for a string view. You can define if you want to allow search, to allow edit, to allow delete, some simple attributes. And inside the grid view, you will just list all the fields you want to get in your grid. For one entity, it's you can have multiple grid view. It's not a problem because in some situations, you will call, for example, the overall grid view, and you can also call a simple grid view, for example, in another object. It's possible. If you have a relation between two objects, you can call the corresponding view inside the second object. And for the form view, it's quite different. The form view is the main view used inside the application, and each form view is defined at the same way. You always have a panel, and I want to have a focus on a panel. For a panel, the name is not mandatory, but I strongly advise you to always name a panel, because if you want to extend the view, you have to get the complete path of your target. If your target field is inside a panel without a name, you can have some issue to extend your view. So have this reflex to always name everything inside the application, even if it's not mandatory. It will be a lot easier to manipulate things later. So for the many attributes available inside a view, I won't take time to explain. I won't take time to explain every attribute. For your information, last week I have listed all the attributes, and we have more than 100 attributes available for the views. So we will soon have a complete documentation on every attribute, what are the impacts, where you can use them, if you can use them in a field, in a panel, in the form itself. We will give you all this information on our website, but it's still in construction, in progress. Inside your view, you can call your fields. You can use the dotted logic for your field. For example, if you want to prompt only the country, I don't know, not Java, what country code, for example, you can just use country.code. It will work, and you can get precise information of relational field inside your view. Maybe some of you have already used the studio, and this feature allows you to quickly build forms using drag and drop logic. The studio don't allow to use the dotted logic on relational fields. If you want to get one information of your relational field, you can't have it using the studio, or it will be complicated. So as soon as you want to implement on the view precise information, I advise you to use the XML, the low-code part of our framework. Still no question? I feel really lonely, but it's okay. So for a view, you can use a grid view, the form view, but we have also chart view, cards view, and if you want, I can show you a card view. Inside the contact view, we have defined a card view. where you have all the fields you want to use inside your card, and then you use an HTML template to define the look of your cards. For the for the HTML, maybe some of you have. Can you add a condition in this view? You can always use the if attribute in the view. For example, there. If you want, you have the if. If you have an example, not there, but if you open the sources of the ERP, give me 2 seconds. Okay, we used the if condition really often. I don't know. SRC main resources and view. I don't know. Maybe energy grouping. Okay, not this one. Accounts. You have the show if there, but it's not what I want to show you. Sometimes we use the if to there. If look. If is frequently used to check if the application is installed or if configuration is activated or not. It depends on what are your goals, but I advise you to use action to control the data inside your view instead of using if condition on your fields. Or maybe you want to show if or read only if, and that's some attributes already available by our framework. For example, if you want set this field in hide if or read only if, you can define your condition using a JavaScript expression. Yes, it's JavaScript. So yes, for the card view, we used HTML, and inside your HTML, there we have used some CSS provided by Bootstrap, because we don't have you don't have, when you use our application, you don't have to create your own CSS. If you want to, you can. You can always implement your own CSS. Resources, no. I don't remember. I don't remember where it is. I don't remember at all. If I go back on the Axelor Open Platform, I don't remember. Axelor Core, maybe. Everything has changed since the new versions, and I'm not really efficient on the new version of the application, because it was last Friday. So excuse me, but I don't remember where you can define your own CSS. In any case, if you have some question about how to use our framework, you always have the developer guide to help you in your development. And if I try to CSS there, web client, okay, widgets, theme, okay. Advanced.
In any case, if you have any more technical question, you can always email me, and we can check that later and give you the answer a little bit later by email. So I just shared earlier with you my email, so you can always ask, and I will check that for you.
Smooth. Okay, so
do you have any question? There is maybe we can go for the answer question session because we are running out of time soon. So maybe Pierre, you can just finish what you are presenting,
yes,
and then
I will conclude. I have introduced you the view, the entity. I wanted to show you also the data importation. I know some of you have already spent a lot of time on the data importation. So I have used this logic there to import initial data. So there, how it works. Yes. Okay, we have one question. Yes. Rest of it based on models, not on actions. Is it right? I will take this question and ask some developers because I don't get the answer. For the BPM, maybe we can schedule and we will make a communication about it. But I can schedule a presentation on the BPM and how you can use it and what are the possibilities for this new feature.
yes,
But
we can organize that.
okay. We will maybe we will think about it and make some communication about a webinar on this product, and the presentation about BPM customization change process will be great for sure. For the data importation, because it's frequently asked, you can bind your data between your data source, a CSV, for example, and the corresponding models. It's really simple. You have your input file, the separator, and the type, and you just have to bind to your field the corresponding column of your CSV. Please have a look on this this bind, which is an embed bind. I try to bind some data to my country field, which is a relational field, and I use the search attribute to check if my data already exists. Country name. I will open the corresponding CSV there. So inside my CSV, I have this country name available. In case of data not present in my database, I have used an embed bind to create a new record based on the information I have on my CSV. Because I know my country needs a name and a company, I can, using my address.csv file, create a country if needed. Can you? Yes, I can. For example, I will create a new address. How can I show you that? Okay. My local. My local is running for now, and if I go on contacts, address, I have my 4 addresses. So I will add a new address there, which is rue des Roses, 49100 G, France, 5. Okay. Okay. Just check. Open with text editor. Okay. Okay. So I have this new address using a new city, and maybe I can try a new country. Yes, let's try that. Open with text editor. I will use India. C'est quoi l'un de l'importance? Okay. 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 There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, so I have created a new line from scratch. So let's cut my server. I need to drop my database because it's initial data, so I need a fresh database, and build my application. Okay. I hope my build works. Okay. Do you have any question for the time? Okay. Launch my server. Just refresh there and go. So we will have the line of the data importation, but I want to show you also the possibility to installing. Okay, the possibility to use importing, installing, importing. Yes. Okay. So my data are available in my application. I will refresh. And here is my address. As you can see, I have all my data already imported because I have used the proper configuration for my input config. If I go further in the data importation, in some case, because you can use a dummy object to bind. As you there, for example, I used the underscore product, which is not a field of my entity, and I bind some data from the product table using the search attribute and the type attribute. It allows me to fetch some data inside my sell order lines, from my dummy object. For example, for the price, for the product price, which is needed in my order line, I have there the product price defined, and inside my CSV, I don't have the information of the product price. I only have the product name and the quantity. To get a complete sale order line, I use this feature to get my unit price, my product price. So my product price, I get also the subtotal using my product unit price, and in case of the including tax, my product tax. So that's how you can easily import data using this feature, this cool feature. Can we use standard GDLs to maintain the database with your maybe it's one of a question I don't have the answer.
It's okay, Bill. You can send me an email and I will answer you by email directly.
But if you want to maintain the database, I advise you to not too much use SQL instruction and let the application impact the database. Okay, that's all for me. It seems I have shown you a lot of information based on our framework. If you have a large number of sites that need change, this process is not very efficient. Yes, if you need to mass update information on one application, you can use you have the possibility to allow the mass update. In updating the form is the best done with. Yes, yes. But if you need to update the same data on multiple applications, you can use this kind of solution using XML binding and CSV updates directly without launching your application. We have some documentation on how you can launch multiple updates directly on your application using Gradle, but I don't have time to present it to you.
Yeah. So I think will be the end for today. If Pierre, you are done with the.
Yes, I am. Yes, that's all for me.
Okay, so do not hesitate to contact me if you have any question, if you want a personalized demo, if you want to know more about Axelor partnership. If you have technical question or anything like that, I'm available. Okay. And I can recognize some of you. We are already in touch, so it's perfect. And we will plan any other webinar maybe after the summer. So we will see, or during the summer we will decide, and I will let you know in any case. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take
Have a
care.
good day.
Have a good day. Bye.